Ever thought about what life would be like without a fridge? Sounds like a nightmare, huh? We all depend on it to keep leftovers fresh, drinks cold, and maybe even hide a little ice cream. But some folks, like the Amish, don't use refrigerators at all. And guess what? They're totally fine. They use old school ways to keep food from spoiling, and it works like a charm. It's kind of funny, actually. We've got smart fridges that adjust temperature with our phones, and the Amish are just doing what the grandparents did. And honestly, their methods are amazing. The way they handle meat storage puts our modern freezers to shame. No fancy tech, just good old patience and know-how gained over generations. It's a skill, really. I'll admit I was unsure when someone first offered me meat prepared the Amish way. No fridge. I figured it would be dry and taste funny or go bad fast, but I was completely wrong. It was delicious, full of flavor, with a smoky hint you just don't get from store-bought stuff. And get this, it lasted longer than anything I've ever frozen. So it turns out, food doesn't always need refrigeration to survive. In fact, Amish methods can make food taste even better. And it all starts with something we all have in our kitchens: salt. Yep, plain old salt. It's their secret weapon. It's not just seasoning, it's how they keep their food, flavor, and traditions alive. Salt's been used to preserve food since forever. It keeps meat from going bad by drying it out. The Amish don't just sprinkle it on, they cover the meat in layers, turning each piece into a bacteria-resistant rock. It's all about removing moisture, which bacteria need to live. But it's not just the salt, it's how they use it. They take their time and do it right. They start with good cuts of meat, pork, beef, whatever. Then the salting begins. They generously coat the meat, making sure to get every nook and cranny. Think of it as a spa treatment, but with salt. The result is food that's preserved and delicious. There's an old saying, worth your salt. Back in Roman times, soldiers were sometimes paid in salt because it was so valuable. That's where the word salary comes from. The Amish still value salt. It's a tool, a resource, and part of their heritage. The first time I saw them salting meat, I thought it would be too salty to eat, but when I tasted it, I was blown away. The salt didn't just preserve the meat, it made the flavor pop. It seemed to draw out the natural taste while keeping everything unwanted away. And the best part is, they do it all without electricity. While we're busy vacuum sealing and freezing, the Amish put their faith in salt and time. Their meat ages, absorbs, and transforms. It becomes more than just food. It's a story filled with the nuances and secrets of each family. But salt is just the beginning, because even with its power, it can't always do everything alone, especially in hot weather or during travel. That's where smoking comes in. Part 2. Smoking. Flavor and old school science. Okay, so salt's great for keeping meat fresh, but sometimes it needs backup, especially if the weather's iffy or you need that meat to last on a long trip. The Amish totally get this. That's why they use smoking. Think of salt as a shield and smoke as a sword. It keeps the bad stuff away and gives the meat an awesome deep flavor that'll make your mouth water. If you wander into an Amish kitchen, odds are you'll see smoked sausages, hams, and bacon hanging around. This is more than just getting ready for winter. It's serious skill, careful planning, and yeah, some cooking genius. They know which wood is best for smoking, how long the meat needs to hang in the smoke, and the ideal temp to get that perfect balance of taste and safety. Smoking does a few things at once. First, it dries the meat out some more, so fewer germs can grow. Second, smoke has stuff in it that fights germs, so the meat's safe from moisture and those nasty critters. But the best part is the taste. That smoky flavor goes deep into the meat, creating a taste you just can't get with spices or baking. Here's a cool thing. If you do it right, smoked meat can last for months, maybe even a year. Imagine opening your pantry to find all sorts of tasty stuff from last fall without a fridge. Tried smoking meat once myself. Sounded like fun. I fired up the smoker, got the process going, and soon the whole neighborhood was full of smoke. My neighbors thought my house was on fire. A few even brought marshmallow sticks, thinking they were getting a bonfire, not smoked ribs. My attempt looked more like a camping trip gone wrong than any kind of cooking. But the Amish nail it. They've got this down to a science. They know what kinds of wood give the best flavor. Hickory, for example, gives a rich, nutty flavor. Apple adds a soft, sweet touch. Also, the temperature and time are carefully chosen for each kind of meat. It's not just tossing meat in smoke and walking away. It's like painting. Every little bit matters. The meat hangs just so, and they keep the smoke steady. Not too hot or strong. You can't let the meat get too hot. Otherwise, you're frying it, not preserving it. That's when the know-how really counts. Check this out. Smoking doesn't just keep meat fresh. It makes it super useful. You can eat it as is, toss it in soups and stews, and store it in pantries and basements. Best of all, it tastes amazing, so you don't have to hit the store for weeks, even without a fridge. To the Amish, smoking is more than just preservation. It's a tradition. It's something the whole family does together. Someone preps the meat, someone keeps the fire going, and someone checks the smoke and temperature. Every step counts. Some might wonder, why bother with all of this? Why not just toss it in the freezer? That's missing the point. The Amish aim for being self-sufficient, sustainable, and good at preserving things. Their way is not some trendy alternative. It's a way of life. Smoke is their way of saying, we know how to live simply and still have tasty food. On the other hand, even smoking has its problems. It's not always easy to keep the smoke going all the time. Too little firewood or bad weather. That's why the Amish have other ways to preserve meat, like using sugar. Part 3. Sweet saving. How sugar brining works. So we know salt and smoke keep bad stuff away and food safe longer. But get this, the Amish have a cool trick, sugar brining. It's not just salty flavors with them. They mix the safety of salt with the yumminess of sugar. It's not just for keeping meat around, it makes it taste amazing. Bacon and ham are super good when made this way. Seriously, that caramelized salty taste is insane. My first time trying Amish bacon done like this, I couldn't believe it hadn't been in the fridge. It was both savory and a bit sweet, with a great feel in my mouth. How's it done? Easy peasy. The Amish chuck together salt and sugar, usually brown sugar or molasses, and rub it all over the meat. It's like food magic. Sugar, like salt, pulls out moisture. That stops bacteria from growing. But this is better than simple pickling. The taste gets big, complex, and kind of like meat candy. It's all about getting that sweet and salty thing just right. Too much sugar and bam, you get dessert. Too little and you miss the point completely. The Amish just know how to do it. They've been perfecting their recipes forever. What's wild is that this isn't a new thing at all. Sugar was used to keep food good way back when. Back then, sugar was special and used to survive. The Amish still remember how to do it. And guess what? Sugar brining isn't just for bacon. A bunch of Amish families do it with pork chops or even big pieces of beef. They get food that lasts and tastes super tempting. Great for breakfast, great for a holiday meal. Heads up, you've gotta be precise with this. Sugar brining can leave meat kinda sticky. The Amish often dry it afterward. This hardens the top of the meat, makes it easy to store, and feels nice when you slice it. Think of sugar brining as a tasty protection. It keeps the food safe and makes it delicious. If you don't think sweetness works with meat, try some sugar-salted ham from an Amish town. Still, even this has limits. Sometimes salt, sugar, and smoke don't cut it, especially for stuff like sausages or fish. The Amish turned to vinegar then. Yep, that's their next move in staying fed without new tools. Part 4. Vinegar, the original food preserver. Vinegar is a fantastic, often overlooked way to keep meat fresh. The Amish really swear by it. The acid in vinegar kills bacteria. A vinegar soak is a really good method if you are trying to keep fish, sausages, or chicken from going bad. But the Amish don't just use vinegar to keep meat from spoiling. They boost the taste too. They whip it together with spices, herbs, and a bit of sugar to whip up marinades that keep meat fresh and tasty. Each jar is like a ready-to-eat mini meal. They switch up the vinegar based on what meat they are using. Apple cider vinegar gives a light fruited tang, while regular white vinegar is sharper. Depends on the meat and what taste they want. Sometimes they throw in garlic, dill, or black pepper. Anything to get that great brine taste and keep the meat good. My grandma did this too. She marinated everything. One time, she experimented with vinegar-soaked chicken. It was interesting, really sour, and not for everyone, but the Amish are experts. They know how to get the right amount of acid and spices without even measuring. Their marinades taste great. This goes way, way back. People used vinegar to keep food from spoiling, way back in ancient Egypt. Even Roman soldiers used it for their rations. And the Amish keep the practice going. Just watch out for too much acid. You don't want the meat to taste bad. That's where practice comes in. You need to get the balance right so the marinade keeps the meat fresh and doesn't ruin the taste. The Amish have this nailed down. Vinegar marinades are great for sausages, smoked meats, and even fish. After cooking, you can stash it in a cool spot for weeks, and it'll still taste good. They often use them for winter dishes like stews, roasts, and soups, which gives the food a little bit of that acidic taste, adding depth. It's simple, and it works. That's why this method's so popular. No bells and whistles needed. Just vinegar, spices, and a little patience. You will have meat safe to eat, tasty, and can be stored out of the fridge. Not a lot of preservatives can offer you this, but the Amish don't stop there. Sometimes, even marinades aren't the best route, when the meat's already cooked but needs to last a bit. Or when you need to use up all of the animal bits, like the fat. Then they use a technique that most modern cooks have forgotten, rendering lard. Part 5. Lard, old school protection for taste and freshness. These days, the word fat freaks a lot of people out. Experts tell us to avoid it. Food companies slap fat-free labels on everything, and we usually cook with vegetable oils instead. But the Amish? They see animal fat, lard, as more than just food. It's a lifesaver. Not only is it packed with nutrients, but it's also great for keeping meat fresh. It all starts pretty simple. You melt the fat. The Amish chop up the fat into little pieces and melt it down real slow over low heat. What you get is this clear golden liquid that can be used to keep meat good. They pour the liquid lard over cooked or partially cooked meat, covering it completely. Bam! You've got a natural airtight container that works just as well as anything you'd buy in a store. When the lard cools, it gets hard and creates a tight seal that keeps air and moisture out. That means no nasty germs can get to the meat, so it stays tasting fresh for ages. You can easily keep meat like this for 6 months, or even longer if you keep it in a cool, dark spot. The first time I heard about this, I imagined some ugly jar of meat swimming in white fat. I thought it would be a huge mess, but the Amish are super careful and clean about it. And it doesn't cost much. They don't see it as gross work, it's more like a careful craft. And they don't just use lard for storing food, they cook with it too, which makes dishes taste richer. Most people don't know that before we started mass-producing vegetable oils, everyone used lard. It tasted good, had lots of calories, and now we know it's not even that bad for you. It's got lots of monounsaturated fats, which are better for you than many trans fats. And here's another good thing. The Amish waste nothing. They try to use everything they get from nature and their animals. Fat is no exception. They don't throw it away. It's important in their cooking. It shows how they believe in wasting nothing. Melting the fat down is simple, but you have to pay attention. You gotta do it over very low heat so it doesn't burn. After it's melted, you're left with crispy bits called cracklings. Seriously, they're so tasty. The Amish often eat them with bread or porridge to make it more filling. I once tried to make my own lard meat supply. I thought the jars would look pretty on my shelf. But what I ended up with was a greasy mess that looked more like modern art than something you'd eat. I decided to leave it to the experts. The genius of this method is how easy it is. Fry the meat, let it cool, put it in jars or pots, pour melted lard over it, seal it up, and you're done. No need for a fridge. When you want it, just heat it up, and you've got delicious, soft meat with a great crust. Using lard is like pausing time for meat. It tastes the same, feels the same, and is safe to eat. And you don't need any plastic, foil, or electricity. It's a great example of how old ways can be better than modern stuff. Of course, you have to store the lard properly. If it's too humid or hot, it can go bad. So the Amish use something else that modern folks have almost forgotten about. The root cellar, which is like a natural refrigerator. Part 6. Root cellars, nature's old school fridge. We usually think of a fridge as a big white box when storing food. But the Amish, they see things differently. Their fridge is a root cellar, hidden underground, with no wires or fans. These cellars are old, but still work great, especially for keeping meats good. Think of a cool little room made of stone or wood, dug into the ground. Stays nice and cool, even in summer. Keeping the air moist and the temp steady is key to why these spaces are great for storage. The Amish know how to make the most of them. Walking around an Amish farm, you might spot a door in the ground, like a hidden burrow. Open it and bam! You're in a food bunker. You might see smoked meat hanging, corned beef, jars of fat or pickles, veggies in boxes, and even fruit. They think of everything. Good airflow, keeping moisture out, and no direct sunlight. These cellars are like natural fridges, and they never quit. My neighbor tried to copy this once. He dug a hole, lined it with wood, and called it his spare fridge. But instead of food, raccoons moved in. Yes, they like the idea of a meat diet. So not just any hole in the ground is a cellar. The Amish do it right. Good depth, drainage, protection from pests, and they keep an eye on things. A good root cellar stays between 32 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is perfect for keeping food fresh by slowing down bacteria. And there's also the air moisture, not too dry or food dries out, not too wet or mold grows. The Amish nail this. People use these cellars way before electricity. Folks find proof of cellars in really old cultures. Goes to show that simple ideas can beat any new tech. The Amish keep more than just meat in these cellars. You'll find potatoes, carrots, cabbage, apples, anything that needs to be cool and dark. Everything is organized so stuff doesn't rot or spoil other stuff. Sometimes you'll see shelves turned into a stack of tasty stuff from the ground. Root cellars are like a pantry, fridge, and flavor preserver all in one for the Amish. They don't just store food, they let it ripen and get more flavorful. And all this without using any power. This works especially well with other methods. Smoked meat, Meat with salt or meat covered in lard lasts way longer in a root cellar, and the food stays safe to eat. It's not just root cellars the Amish for winter storage. When it gets cold, they also use natural freezing. Next, we will talk about the most basic but awesome method, freezing stuff outside. Part 7. Winter freezing. Nature's deep freeze. For the Amish, winter isn't just a cold season, it's a chance to get things done. They actually use the cold as a natural way to freeze food. After butchering, they hang the meat outside, covering big chunks with burlap and keeping them under shelters where it's always below freezing. No need for electricity. Nature takes care of it all. The most important thing is to keep moisture out. Snow, rain, or a thaw can ruin everything. So, the Amish pay close attention to the weather, build simple shelters, and watch the wind. The frost not only keeps the meat fresh, but also makes it better. The ice breaks down the fibers, making it more tender and flavorful. Kids in the family even pitch in, helping to check on the freezing while they play nearby. Freezing becomes just another part of their winter life. And by springtime, they've got a whole stock of food stored. This way of doing things shows how the Amish think, living with nature, not fighting against it. Winter freezing is a basic, dependable method that's been around for ages and still works better than a lot of the new stuff around. Part 8. Drying. Making meat last. Drying is an old-school way to keep meat good without needing a fridge. The Amish slice meat thin, add salt, spices, and sometimes sugar. Then they hang it up in airy spots like barns, attics, or under roofs. The moisture goes away, so there's nowhere for gross stuff to grow. Dried meat can stay good for months and still taste great. It's easy to eat as jerky, or you can soak it for soups and stews. The Amish see these supplies as both food and the result of what their family has learned over time. You need good weather, warm, dry, with a bit of wind. If it's too wet, the meat spoils. If it's too hot, it gets hard. Amish folks just know from experience when it's right. I bought jerky once and yuck, it was like leather. But the Amish make something tasty, tender, and with a smell that reminds you of another time. It's more than just a snack. It's food with history. Part 9. Canning meat with pressure. Food for the end times. The Amish have a saying, if you want to be ready, can it. They prep meat by cutting it up and putting it in jars with some spices. Then, they use a pressure canner to heat it up, getting it hotter than boiling water. This makes the meat germ-free and sealed tight, so it can be stored for years. Using this method, you can keep meat for 3 to 5 years without needing a fridge. And it isn't just for stew. After it's canned, the meat gets tender, flavorful, and smells great. It's not only safe to eat, but tastes awesome. Need a quick lunch? Just pop open a jar and you've got soup, gravy, or a side dish ready to go. For the Amish, it's a family kind of thing. Someone chops the meat, someone else seals the jars, and someone watches the canning machine. It brings everyone together and keeps their ways alive. And that's all there is to it. No junk, no weird stuff, just meat, spices, and heat. Canning means dependability. While the rest of us check dates on packages, the Amish just grab a jar from the shelf. And in a world where the power might go out, a jar of meat is reassuring. Part 10. Pemmican. Old school energy food. Pemmican? It's way more than just a snack. Think of it as a superfood that's been around forever. The Amish make this stuff using old recipes, kind of borrowed from Native Americans. They dry meat, grind it up, and mix it with melted fat. and sometimes toss in some berries. What you get is a mix that's packed with good stuff and can last for ages without needing a fridge. This energy bar is full of protein and fats. It won't go bad, which makes it perfect for long trips or getting ready for winter. It's also super flexible. Eat it as is, or toss it in your soup or oatmeal. Easy, filling, and dependable. Making pemmican isn't just cooking, it's more like a tradition. The Amish know the exact amounts to use so the mix stays together and doesn't spoil. Forget fancy ingredients, just meat, fat, and a few berries to give it a bit of tang. Pemmican is like a food tradition that's stuck around. You probably won't see it on a fancy menu, but when the lights go out and you can't get food delivered, it'll be super valuable. And the Amish, they'll be all set, as usual. The way Amish folks keep meat is a good lesson. Tech isn't always the best way. We're all about outlets, freezers, and use-by dates. But they stick to old family know-how, basic nature, and taking their time. No coolers, no junk added, no stress. Just salt, smoke, vinegar, fat, and trusting what works. Each way they keep meat, smoking, drying, canning, even freezing in winter, it's more than just a trick. It's how they live. Each recipe has a story, and every action comes from what they learned from family. It's real food science, just done without labs or degrees. The world's zooming ahead, but things stay the same in Amish barns. Maybe that's how they make it work. Not chasing what's new, but respecting what's old. They show us how to keep food good, and also how to pay more attention to the earth, time, and ourselves. Funny thing is, sometimes the best way to keep meat is just trusting salt, smoke, and good sense. And there's something to learn from their simple, old way of doing things.